don't be afraid of customer experience, right? I mean, customer experience is actually very simple, and you can really start with what you have, right?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of your favorite CX show, the Engati CX show. I'm your host, Rahul, and today, again, you folks are in for a treat. We can't stress more on this because you're in Engati CX, so obviously you'll be in for treats. So, yeah, but today we have somebody special on the show, and he is like a customer experience expert. So, before I introduce you to our special guest, let me just introduce you quickly to what Engati is. Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code chatbot platform available across 14 channels, with 35,000 bots created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as a top platform by Inc.com, TechWorld, CIO, and many others. Now, we run the Engati blog, video channel, and the Engati CX podcast, of course, receiving upwards of 400,000 visitors annually. And now it's time for our guest, is none other than Carsten Ley. He's an entrepreneur, enabler, and project lead in customer experience, agile change management, and business transformation, leading large-scale project implementations in Europe, Latin America, and Southeast Asia. He's also an experienced public speaker and trainer. So welcome to the show, Carsten. Such an honor to have you on board.
Thank you very much, Rahul. And it says we wear the same T-shirt. That's already pretty cool, by the way. We haven't spoken about that, yeah?
I know, right? That's great. So this is a great way to start it. So, Carsten, straight away, jumping on to the first question. I hope you're ready for this.
Yes.
All right. So, we can't agree more on the fact that, customer service has been there for a long time and there's been a huge change in things, right? So, how do you think the offline era of the customer service landscape compares to, today's AI powered online models?
Yeah, I mean, let's start. If we speak about customer experience, we have to start to speak of the readiness of customers. So I was head of customer experience in Lazada, Vietnam. And our colleagues in the headquarter, Lazada Singapore, or later in the Alibaba headquarter, which took over Lazada, they had fantastic ideas about how to use AI, how to use bots, how to use automation and stuff. And it flew very, very high in countries like Singapore or Malaysia. But it didn't fly very much in Vietnam because Vietnam is a very, very offline market, actually. Right. And I mean, in Vietnam, maybe in other countries, a very new trend. In Vietnam, a very big trend is omni-channel. I mean, you sell online, you consult online, you have probably bots around or anything technical around, but you still need a human touch somehow.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing we saw on customer service in Vietnam, when we speak about e-commerce in Lazada, we had so many complaints about riders, about rider behavior, which in a country like Singapore, you even don't want to see a rider. I mean, everybody wants to have a code with a login box and go there downstairs in the apartment, which they just started it. Lazada Express just started it, but it's slowly adapting. So I think AI is great. There's a lot of opportunities inside, and you can do a lot of automation for the customer and help him in the background, right? But the country and the culture has to be ready for that.
Exactly. I think one of the biggest challenges of any AI technology is for the people to get on board with it. And, because at the end, it's the people who are going to use it. So if they're not comfortable, that's like a huge gap in between. I think that makes sense.
And what also is very difficult when you speak about, for example, Asian languages, it's so difficult to translate an on AI solution. I mean, it's not like English. I mean, sorry to say that English, German, French, it's much easier to get these languages, right? I mean, and a chatbot who speaks on tones, I mean, that's already crazy, right? I mean, so there's a huge barrier here in the cultures, in the languages, then also with the offline competition, right? I mean, you have so many, in countries like Vietnam, you have so many offline stores. I mean, I live in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City. We have 1 to 1.5 million offline stores in the city. So if I go on Facebook, social commerce, or if I really go out into the city, I can find any product I want. And I get a customized personal consulting on the product, and I can give it back within 1 hour if something goes wrong, which no automation can give me, right? And
exactly.
people go lazy with this kind of offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
People say, oh, why do I need this? Sorry to say that, this automation crap. And maybe you get better. Maybe your chatbot is getting better. Your response time is getting better. Everything, right? But it's still not there where a human is. If you have a human. Now, in countries like Singapore or Germany, where I'm from, where the human cost is so high that you cannot have 10 people in the store to consult you, or where not somebody can just deliver you on a motorbike quickly. It's very high labor costs. Of course, there people appreciate AI because they don't know the good service from humans anymore.
That's true. Yeah, it differs geographically also. But hey, Carsten, before we talk anything, it's very important to talk the basics, right? So what are the fundamentals of customer experience change management?
Yeah, I think customer experience, when you start it in a company or in an organization, it's a top-down thing. I mean, change management is always top-down. So you have to win the leadership over, the C-level and the management level, and say, okay, we want to be a customer-focused company. We want to be a customer-centric business. Now you have to explain it to people what it means, right? I mean, if you say that the management board wants to be customer-centric, they have to live it. So not every decision taken every week in the management board can only be sales or profit relevant. You also have to be open to take customer relevant decisions, which can probably hurt profit or sales. Yeah? This is the first test. But if the management doesn't walk the talk, then you cannot get it down to lower levels. And that's change management, right? So when we introduced, I worked for Home Credit, a cash loan company, and then later for Lazada, and then for different clients, in especially Myanmar and Vietnam for customer experience implementation. And of course, sales directors maybe don't like customer experience, right? Even CS sometimes, because CS is very KPI driven. I mean, CS, customer service hotlines, is about costs, about speed, about getting people off the phone. Sorry to say that, but sometimes it's like that, or pushing them into bots that they even don't come to the human center, right? Which sometimes goes against CX. So to convince these people and say, now, we are a customer-centric company, what does it mean? That means you are listening to the voice of the customer. There is in the room a CXO, or in my case, VP or head of CX, who has a powerful voice in the room and saying, when you say, okay, we cut now this, I heard, for example, Lazada was cutting now the Facebook and the Zalo, which is a local Vietnamese tool, chat, which people loved, but they were cutting it for cost reason and also for reasons of confidentiality against these systems. And then somebody has to be in a room and saying, yeah, okay, you have your business reasons to cut Facebook Messenger, but people hate your in-app chat. They don't like it. They love Facebook Messenger because every store in Vietnam is on Facebook Messenger, and you're just like any other store, and you should be there. And this voice should be there. That's change management, that you allow a strong voice there. And that's also one thing where you have to start, that CX is reporting to C-level or is part of the C-level, which a lot of companies don't do, right?
True. Absolutely. Now, my next question is you actually answered my next question here, but kind of like, answering it a little more. So how do you think great customer experience begin with change management, obviously, but what is the need of an organizational change management in today's day and age?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how strongly convinced is the organization on customer experience. Sometimes we advise companies, why don't you start with a 3 to 6 months customer experience project? Right? Where you do a project team, of course, C-levels and CEOs are involved, and the customer-facing C-levels like sales, collection, marketing should be involved, commercial, CS, and so on. But do it as a project, 3 to 6 months. I mean, if you are shy, don't announce immediately, our company from tomorrow on is customer-centric, because this is very dangerous, right? If people shoot against it. Why don't you start it as a project? And you say, okay, in this project, we want to pump out every month, let's say 3 to 5 improvements for the customer across the whole board, on the delivery side, on the sales side, on the CS side, across the whole board. And we are collecting all the complaints, all the inquiries, everything the customer is telling us. And we are encouraging more and more feedback channels if we don't have them. CSAT, NPS, whatever you need. And let's do it as a 3 to 6 months project. And if this project is going well, then we can think about it to bring it in your company as a strategic pillar and say customer centricity is a strategic pillar. And then the need organizationally is to really build a CX team and to have on a head or ideally on a C level, customer experience responsible.
True.
And if you think about the team, what do you need for the team? I mean, you need some research specialists because it's a lot about getting feedback, getting research. And it's more than market research. It's really research to find issues and to solve them. You need a very strong project management capability. That's why our company is called Asia PMO. We started from a project management business or consulting, and CX for us is a part of project management. Because whatever you find in CX, when you say, oh, the sales communication is not good, or CS is not responding good, or there's a problem in the terms and conditions, you will set up mini projects in the company to solve that. 1, 2, 3 months project, only small projects. So there's a lot of project management to be done. And the CX team is not responsible to execute the projects. The departments where you find this complaint or where you find this customer concern should be in charge. And that's also part of the change management. Yeah. People, the departments should clean up their own things, right? They should really get out their own improvements. Ideally, when you have CX on a higher level, the departments itself come up with solutions. You don't have to push them anymore for that. But it's a later stage. I mean, it doesn't work from the beginning, from my experience. At the beginning, it's a little bit more pushy that you say, hey, we found 5 complaints which are sales related. Can you do something about it? Right. And then as a CX team, you should have project management capabilities to track them and to report. Do you do something? What do you do? Does it have an impact? And of course, you need data capability. I mean, CX is a big data game. I mean, all the feedback, everything you get from the customer, the behavioral aspects of the customer on platforms. How does the customer behave? Like on Lazada, it was a big thing. Why people go to the checkout but don't buy the project? This is don't buy the product. This is a very big behavioral thing, which you can do with Google Analytics or any other tool. So you need data capability. And when you implement something, or when the departments implement something, you should also measure if it has an impact or not.
True.
Because a lot of companies do the mistake, oh, we do something for CX. We improved a little bit our CS. We improved the scripts. We hired 5 people more. But people don't like it. So just doing something about CX doesn't give you automatically results. You also have to measure if people like it or not. So you need project management capabilities, research capabilities, data capabilities, and a strong head or C-level in CX organizational wise.
Absolutely. And I absolutely love the way you broke it down, because a lot of companies are in the misconception that, hey, you can just jump on the bandwagon and get onto the CX journey. But it's a whole process, right? So starting from how you implement it to measuring things and then seeing if the customers are liking it, it's a whole big process. And it makes sense of treating it as a project basis, like a 3-month, 6-month project, and see how it's helping the organization and the customers simultaneously. So that was a very intelligent point there. Well, bringing the conversation again to something that we do, that's conversational agents. And it's no secret that conversational agents are like redefining customer experiences here and there, and a lot of companies also. So do you think, Carsten, that they are being accepted well by customers?
I mean, like I said, it depends a little bit on the country level and on the market. If you're already used to this kind of tools or not, right? I mean, that's the thing where I see a little bit, like I see here in the region, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand. I think it's a pretty good market. Philippines, Vietnam. Philippines with English, of course, but Vietnam is a very peculiar market where probably it's difficult with these kind of tools and approaches.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is geographical too. That's what you're saying, like with the adaptation of the languages and stuff. Well, yeah, got it. But hey, this has been a wonderful conversation, Carsten, and there's so many market insiders that you've given, and the strategy to how to get to the CX journey. So thank you so much for that. And before we close the interview, are there any thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, I think if you start with customer experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't be afraid of customer experience, right? I mean, customer experience is actually very simple, and you can really start with what you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you do, because a lot of companies are like, oh, before we do customer experience, we have to make a big research project or get a market research companies for thousands of dollars on board. And I don't believe that. When we started CX in home credit, we just scrapped all the customer data we could find together. And I got it from 8 to 10 sources. Sales team, collection team, marketing team, CS team. Yeah. And just to bringing it all together in one place is a big start.
Mm-hmm.
So really try to collect all the customer data you have and all the feedback. Yeah. And with this one, I promise you can already find the top 5 concerns or the top 5 complaints or inquiries in a company very easy. And then you start to clean up these things. And when you start that, like say as a project, 2, 3, 4 months, of course, you will get on a level very quickly where you probably need tools. Yeah. Like the Engati tool, right? Where you say, okay, with only manpower, we cannot do it because we are a very high scale business or we are a very big business. And then after 3, 4 months in the project, you would start to look into the tools. And you would look into the tools who really tackle the complaints or the inquiries of the customer. When a customer says, okay, the response time is too slow or the quality, or it's not the same level of response the whole time, right? I mean, that's maybe a big advantage of a tool, for example, right? That you consistency, sorry, I was looking for the word. Yeah, consistency, speed of response, quality of responses, right? Also about 24/7 availability, which a lot of companies don't have. They just switch off their call center at 9 p.m. You don't hear anything on the holidays, right? And this is when you get these kind of complaints, then a tool makes a lot of sense, yeah? But first dig into what you have. Don't make it as an excuse and say, oh, I cannot start. CX is not a very big investment. As a project, it's not a big investment. You just have to dig up whatever the customer doesn't like, and your people know it. Maybe they don't like to speak about it or they don't want to show you. Well, you have to empower somebody, right? Mm-hmm. But you can dig it up if you get empowered. Yeah. And then you start to clean up little by little. And CX is not only a cleanup exercise. So once you are in a CX cycle where you really have the customer more positive, the customer sees, and also your company as a change management sees something is going on very well on the customer side. They respond well to it. You get tools inside, yeah, which the customer like. Then you come in the next phase, maybe after 9 to 12 months, where you also look into surprises, what we call wow experience. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to paint it only negative to say, okay, it's only about cleaning up. The beginning is about cleaning up, but then when you have the right tool in place, when you benchmark your competitors, what they're doing, so you can do something better. You can do things which are not on the market yet. Yeah. If you buy a tool, for example, like your tool, which is probably your competitors don't have, and there are a lot of advantages on that. You're the first one who have it in the country, right? There you can really surprise the customer and say, wow, these guys respond at midnight. These guys respond consistently. Yeah. Yeah. These guys know what they are doing. Yeah. They don't have any moody CS agents who are sometimes in a good mood or in a bad mood, or, I mean, it happens a lot in countries like Vietnam. Right. Sorry to say that, right? Right. So that's what I want to say. So don't make an excuse to start with CX. Yeah. Start with what you have, but then also try to get your company into the improvement and into the wow and surprise part. That's very important.
Absolutely. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Carsten Ley on the Engati CX show. But hey, Carsten, if anybody from the audience wants to reach you, where do they find you?
Yeah, I mean, our company is asiapmo.com. or email Carsten@asiapmo.com. But you can see that we are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, we are on YouTube. So just reach out to us. We also have a chat, which we try to man 24/7, but maybe we need a tool later when we grow. So we will look into that. Thanks for reminding me on this show. I just was thinking about that. No, but we also have all the tools in place and getting better on that. So asiapmo.com, please reach out to us. We are happy to engage. Online is possible. We run a lot of projects online. So thank you for that.
So there you have it, guys. Reach out, and Carsten will be available for you. Make sure you tell them that we sent you. So that's about it for today's show, and we'll be back with a new episode at the brand new expert soon. So stay tuned, and we'll see you around for the next one. Thank you so much, Carsten.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.